There's been a great debate this week following the announcement that former world heavyweight champion David Haye will fight Derek Chisora in July. Both men were involved in a press conference brawl back in February. Chisora is currently suspended by the Board of Control. To get round that suspension, promoters are using a loophole. They've asked the Luxem Boxing Board to sanction the contest to ensure that the fight goes ahead. Well, in a moment, I'll speak to Frank Warren, who's involved in the promotion. But listen first to Barry Hearn, also a leading boxing promoter.
At the end of the day, we have to be a realist. It's very tough for boxing to take the moral high ground. There probably isn't any in boxing, is there? We also know that it's all about money. The sport has always been all about money. And this fight is all about money as well. I mean, when we start hearing about the Boxing Board of Luxembourg, even a cynical person like myself has a little smile on his face because, let's be honest, it's a manoeuvre, isn't it? I mean, the Boxing Board of Luxembourg have sanctioned one fight in the last 2 years. But there's serious repercussions about anyone who turns their back on one of the most established and actually recognised and valued boxing commissions in the world, which is the British Boxing Board. And it raises lots and lots of issues. Nothing wrong with Chisora and Haye fighting, of course, but they've got to go through, and they should have gone through, the right process. And I think the Boxing Board is there to ensure the safety of the fighters, to make sure that nothing goes wrong, that the medical requirements are in place, that there is a financial backup and services to protect the boxers themselves. This fight is a cynical attempt by various parties just to make a lot of money.
But what's wrong with making a lot of money? You're in the game to do that. What's wrong with that?
Because there has to be a system. There has to be some controls in there. There has to be some integrity and credibility. And frankly, all they had to do, it's so frustrating, all they had to do was to go through the process. I mean, Frank Warren will talk about, the appeal was delayed. Look, it's delayed to the 2nd of July or whenever. It's not the end of the world. And it's not just one fight. It's the repercussions throughout boxing going forward that worries me more.
But again, it's a loophole being exploited. But, is there anything wrong with exploiting a loophole?
Well, there are, because you can't allow anarchy in a sport as dangerous as boxing, because we'll start feeling the repercussions. I mean, we all know that things happen in press conferences and things. There are people saying things that perhaps they shouldn't. But this went a lot further than that. Let's remember the words of Mr. Warren straight after the Munich fiasco when he said he would never promote Chisora and Haye. Well, there's a bit of a U-turn there, and the U-turn's about money, and I understand that money makes people do strange things.
But you've made U-turns in your life, haven't you, Barry?
Lots and lots of times.
So what's wrong
puts my hands up and say, I don't try and justify it. I work within the rules. All sport needs control, and the day you don't have control, you have anarchy, and with it, you have chaos. What I'm saying to you is, when a fight is licensed by the Luxembourg Authority, or whoever they may be, this strange body of people, if one of the fighters should get badly injured, we saw it with Michael Watson, we've seen it with other fighters in the ring, the claim was made against the British Boxing Board of Control. Are you telling me the Luxembourg Board of Control is financially secure? It sanctioned one fight in 2 years. There are no professional boxers in Luxembourg. This is a sham, and we're all closing our eyes and getting on with it.
The interesting thing, of course, is that the public will probably flock to Upton Park and it'll probably be a sellout.
It's a great fight. It's a great fight. All they had to do was to go through the proper channels. There's no rush. This fight's going to be a great fight in 3 months' time, 4 months' time, 5 months' time. I don't think Chisora will actually be signed on the dole within that period. He was well paid, I believe, when he fought Klitschko. But the fact of life is, there is a way of doing things, and this is the wrong way for the interests of the sport. And I would expect responsible people like Frank Warren to go through the right channels.
What damage overall do you think the contest will do to boxing?
What it could do is it creates a precedent where we no longer need or we no longer put up with a sanctioning body like the British Boxing Board of Control. It means that people can circumvent the rules which could endanger the lives of professional sportsmen. It's as simple as that. This is a panic move made by people panicking to make money too quickly. Frankly, integrity comes to mind. The repercussions going forward could be the death knell of boxing in this country.
Barry Hearn, thank you very much for coming on the programme.
A pleasure.
Let's speak now to Frank Warren, who's the manager of Derek Chisora, also involved in the promotion of the fight. Frank, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gary.
Tell us the main reason why you want to promote the fight, when back in February, as Barry Hearn pointed out, you said you wouldn't get involved in the promotion.
Well, I'll answer that in a second. First of all, let's get some facts in order here. Barry Hearn, being the nice, integrity-driven person that he is, was the guy who was responsible for forming 2 breakaway organisations, one in darts, one in snooker, which caused anarchy in the sport. Furthermore, Barry Hearn won a purse bid for Julian Jackson to fight against Harold Graham a few years ago. Julian Jackson was found by the British Boxing Board of Control's medical body to be blind in one eye. So Barry Hearn, with all his integrity, then took the fight to Monaco, who refused to put the fight on, and then put the fight on in Spain. And the board sanctioned a fight between a guy called Julian Jackson and Harold Graham, knowing that one guy was blind in one eye. And Barry Hearn promoted that fight in Spain, and he did it for one reason, and one reason only, to make money. So I don't need Barry Hearn to spout onto me about ethics whatsoever. As far as the other points that he made in his earnest comments, there was the fact that he said about insurance. Well, let's get it right. First of all, is that the Board of Control have not banned Derek Chisora. They suspended his licence. No one was looking for a loophole at all. We was waiting for the appeal to be heard. In the meantime, through legal and through the rules of the European Boxing Union and free law, a license was taken out, or has been taken out, with Luxembourg Boxing Board of Control. The Luxembourg Boxing Board of Control has insurance with Aviva for far more money than the British Boxing Board of Control have over their boxers. Anyone to suggest that I would promote a fight without any without any health regarding boxers or anybody else who fall on the card is outrageous.
Okay.
You know, the Board of the Board of Control. If the fight was, if the board is saying the fight is, it cannot be a fight because it's unlicensed, because it's licensed by a federation. It's licensed by a federation that's older than the board, affiliated to the EBU, that has the same medical provisions, testing, safety provision as an insurance of the board. David Hayes not licensed the board. Were he licensed, he would not be licensed by the federation, because the British Boxing Board of Control state that if you're licensed by them, you can't be licensed by another organisation. Let me finish.
Frank, this is a three-minute answer, and we'll run out of time. I won't be. You've made your points.
I'll make the points to what Barry Hearn said. So please, if you want me to carry on the programme, I'll do that. I'll answer the questions as what Barry Hearn said. You gave him the chance to put his case.
Yes, we gave him for 4 minutes, and your first answer is 3 minutes. So I would ask you to move on if you would.
The board have not complained about the WBA fight that's taking place on the same card, which is not bringing the sport into disrepute. The WBO will be sanctioning the bout for the Intercontinental title, so that's another organisation that's involved. And quite frankly, regarding the Michael Watson issue, the Board of Control went into administration for negligence concerning Michael Watson, and it was only me, not Barry Hearn, that actually funded, and I never promoted the fight, Barry Hearn did, nor have I ever promoted Michael Watson, who actually underwrote for just under £300,000 to ensure that Michael Watson got paid, having taken up the case on his behalf to ensure that he got his money from the Boxing Board of Control. That was me, not Barry Hearn.
Right, OK, we'll move on, and thank you for clearing up those points. The boxing press conference on Tuesday, Hay and Chisora were there. Conferences obviously are designed to sell tickets. Did you find any aspect of that press conference embarrassing? Did it make you squirm at times?
No, not at all. As I said to you, the fact of the matter is that, people are saying, why can't this fight go on 6 months' time? Please tell me what the difference is. These guys are two athletes. They're not none of them are blind in one eye. They're both medically fit to box. Neither of them are banned from boxing. And, the high ground and the moral high ground, one question did make me squirm, which actually came from the Beeb asking me that. And I said, did the Beeb squirm when they get involved in broadcasting the Formula One from Bahrain, where 50 people had died and one person died on the day of the event? Did they have any compunction about that? Do the BBC have any compunction about going to Ukraine to cover the European football, the Euros?
Okay,
no, they don't.
That's a fair point as well. So when Chisora talked of seeing Hay in a restaurant and Hay picking up a knife, did you not think that's pathetic?
That's exactly what it was, pathetic. But as David Hay said, he was eating the steak in there. I mean, You can hear all that stuff. You get a lot of nonsense said in boxing.
Of course. So there was
things are
perhaps
said
one
about it.
little aspect that did make you squirm, and it was the knife aspect.
It was a stupid comment,
Yes.
and that's it. But
I thought you would probably agree with that. The Boxing Board of Control don't want you to be involved in the promotion. If they were to revoke your licence, I suspect you would challenge that in court. So, assuming that is the case, would you simply use the Luxembourg Board of Control for all your future promotions?
Well, my licence will not be revoked because it would be illegal for them to do so. There's more things going on. What causes anarchy is totalitarianism and monopolism. And there are various things going on in the Boxing Board of Control. Things are being decided, not just this thing. A lot of things are being decided. It's causing a lot of unrest with a lot of licence holders. There's also a television issue going on here between Box Nation and Sky TV. You notice that all the promoters that have come out against this fight, all of them are either promoters who promote on Sky TV or they're commentators.
Yes, and Box Nation's your company, Frank, is that correct? That Box Nation's your company?
It's not my company. I'm a shareholder in Box Nation.
What percentage of shares would you hold in Box Nation, just to give us an indication of your importance with the company?
I own 5%.
Just 5%. Okay, so only a very small stake.
Yeah.
Do you?
I'm also a shareholder in Sky TV, by the way.
Okay. Interesting. A foot in both camps. Do you think in a few years' time, on reflection, you'll look back and you'll say to yourself, "I wish I hadn't promoted Hay against Chisora"? Because you see, I suspect you might.
Well, you suspect wrongly. I have no problem, and I would look you in the eye and anybody else in the eye that is involved in this. No more than I'd have any problems, or you would have any problems, Gary, looking in the eye of Mike Tyson, who the BBC regularly covered these fights, or other issues, or the Mark Kaler and Errol Christie fight that the BBC covered. And I could go on with a big list of these. The only thing they have in common is none of these people were banned from boxing. All the fracas that happened before, like Tyson, Lennox Lewis, all the thing that happened with Lennox Lewis and Hassim Rahman when they had a dreadful fight prior to the press conference, not one sanction was taken up against these boxers, and this is before the fight happened, not after. And I'm not trying to. I don't need to justify myself. The fact of the matter is, the Boxing Board of Control had a hearing. It was their decision not to ban Derek Chisora. It was their decision to say to me and to say to Derek Chisora in front of his barrister that if you wish to take a licence up with another organisation, you can do that. It's the Boxing Board of Control's decision to supply referees and officials to the Austrian Boxing Commission that actually promote that covers all the Salem fights that take place in Germany. It's exactly the same situation in Germany as the Luxembourg here, and that doesn't cause anarchy in Germany. Okay,
I would be very grateful. A quick couple of answers because we're running out of time. So, if just supposing the Boxing Board of Control did take your licence, would you use the Luxembourg Board of Control again? Yes or no on that one?
They won't take my licence.
But if they did, yes or no?
No, they won't.
Okay.
They won't. They can't.
What's your estimate, and there's nothing wrong with people in this promotion making money because that's what people do in life, what would your estimation be of what everybody will make? You will have worked out a careful business plan. What would the figure be?
Like all sport, including the Olympic Games, it's all about commercialism. Football, when they banned Suarez for 8 games for racism, as I said to you before, the equivalent of Chisora being out for 6 months is the equivalent of a 24-match ban. As regarding what the finance would be as this show, it depends on the take-up from subscriptions on Box Nation TV. If people buy it, then it will make money. If they don't buy it, then it will lose money. I'm gambling that they will buy it, and I believe they will on the indications of the ticket sales, because up to now, over 22,000 tickets have been sold. So there are definitely 22,000 people who want to see this fight take place.
And lastly, when Barry Hearn, who's obviously been the leading promoter like you for many, many years, says this could be the death knell for boxing, you say?
Well, I say to him, it wasn't the death knell for darts when he split the governing body, and it wasn't the death knell for snooker when he split the body and set up rival organisations.
Frank Warren, thanks for coming on. I think, was that a point score draw, and should we have a rematch between you and Barry? I'll promote it if so.
Well, if you want it, I'd much rather do it face-to-face than a recorded interview, because I would definitely win by a knockout.
We'll set it up for future weeks. Thank you for coming on the programme.
I'm raring to go.
Thank you, Frank Warren, boxing promoter. A thought?
Well, I grew up in Dundee, and where there was a great Olympic boxer called Dick McTaggart. I then grew up in the era where the whole world, half the world, fell in love with Muhammad Ali through television. I've now no interest in boxing whatsoever, and that item that we've just heard tells you, for men of the status of Frank Warren and Barry Hearn to be backing an enterprise as disgusting as this, this is the reason that boxing's losing fans like me.
Two sides to every story, of course. This is Sports Week.